Welcome back to BOCI TV. We have a very special guest today, and I'm honored to say that she is a very dear friend of mine. Mary Singer has been a visionary in business since the 80s when she started her business. She was recently awarded a WeBank Business Star, and WeBank is the Women Business Enterprise National Certification. Yes, that's a big deal. There's one per region in the United States, and so she is one of 14 people all over the country who is honored for being a business star. So let's give it up again. Thank you. Mary has been a champion for women in business. She's been a champion for small business owners as a whole. And back in the 1980s, when you started your business, you know, things were a little bit different than they were by the time the recession came around and when things got tight. And you had the courage to rebrand your business and completely turn it into a different, passionate way of doing business. Tell us a little bit about that and how you had the courage to step out and do that.
Well, thank you, Shelley, and thank you everyone for this opportunity to share with you all what I'm so very passionate about, and that's saving our precious resources that we have here and using them much wiser than we have today. Back when the recession hit, I realized when I started listening to the conversation with the top leaders that our world had changed. It had changed locally, globally, and it had changed deep, and it had changed wide in directions that were absolute change, and that we would have to do business and think about business a little bit differently than we had previously. So I used that opportunity to start doing some research. I read quite a bit, and I also started looking and listening very intently to what the large businesses were sharing with us. I think that's one of the key things when there's chaos for small and medium businesses to be able to do, is to really listen. Look at the world. Get outside of where you've been working when there's chaos, because that's usually a space opportunity for you to look at doing your business very differently. And that's what I did. I used my research to try to understand where we were headed, what needed to be looked at, and how I, with the talents that I had been blessed with, could start looking at my business very differently.
So you started in the commercial real estate space.
I did.
And what happened?
Well, in real estate, the large facilities are energy grabbers, and they're also the lowest hanging fruits in regard to businesses creating the most amount of efficiency and savings. And so I knew that part of the business, but what I did not know is what the large companies were looking at when they were looking at their facilities. How were they taking this conversation? So my research led me to realize that you've got to follow what the large companies have monetized, what the big picture is looking at in reference to money. And they were looking at the environmental footprint, they were looking at our social responsibility, and they were looking at how that created profits for the larger businesses. So when I figured out the flow of the money, I knew that I could take that conversation and break it down into smaller conversations that would create opportunity for all of us as small businesses, and that we could create economic development by breaking that conversation down into more doable parts from where we're working from. So that's what I started doing.
Great. And so when you talk about chaos, I'm sure that you know that the Chinese character for chaos is also a character for opportunity.
I've heard that,
yes.
but I had forgotten that, so thank you for sharing it again.
So we know that sustainability has become a hot topic. Sometimes when you hear sustainability, you just think about financial sustainability, or you think about community give back, but what you're really driving to is a triple bottom line, and that's a trend.
That is the trend that we're seeing. And when I first started this new pathway, there were maybe 30 or 40% of the large corporations that were reporting either corporate social responsibility reporting, what they were doing socially, or they were reporting what their triple bottom line was. Now it's close to 90, it's over 90%. And it's become so important that Wall Street now has all of the experts looking at this important index, the triple bottom line. And large companies take this out of their annual report, and they have a large report that's set aside for sustainability, environmental, economic, and social measurements and reporting that they're doing. And there are many people that are rising up, particularly consumer groups, that are bringing to the forefront the companies that are greenwashing. They say they're doing things, but they're really not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So that's a trend. We're seeing trends where within the large companies, the procurement departments, which are the buying departments, the ones that we as small businesses would be very interested in knowing within the large companies, they've made it a part of their buying processes now. That's the trend. Instead of the tenet of cost and quality, they've overlaid it with this important financial piece, sustainability.
And that's a demand by the consumer. I mean,
It
that's
is a
what
demand.
builds loyalty. That's what people are looking for. For instance, when I go into Starbucks, it's not just for great coffee, it's because of what they're doing to save the environment and the ways that they're giving back to the community. It makes me proud to do business with them.
Well, it does me too, and like I meet frequently at Panera Bread and have coffee, and I'm one of those that I take my cups home with me if they don't have the right recycle opportunity for me as a consumer. But I also use it as an opportunity to speak with the management and share with them that I care about our environment, and I care about it for all of the reasons that are important to all of us in this room. And I want to make sure that I am not putting any more waste than I possibly can into our environment. It's important for our next generation, and
Yes.
we care about it.
So you're willing to tell your truth quicker, faster,
I
and
am.
make your point. You understand it from the bird's eye view and what's driving Wall Street now. It's not just the money anymore, folks. But also you understand it from the grassroots point of
I
view,
do.
because when you speak up at Panera, you're saying, I'm a buyer, I'm a consumer, I care, do something about it.
And they're changing it.
Yes, yes, they
The
are.
last time I mentioned it to them, he said that the whole waste unit is being redesigned because they had so many complaints around it. So I was like,
Awesome. See how powerful we are as consumers.
So the point of that is a small voice. Small voices matter. Collectively, we all matter. This is our Earth. There is no planet B. We only have one opportunity to do this correctly. And it is my passion to leave a legacy for everyone that knows me, that I've cared and done my part for waste, and that I've cared and done my part for water, and I have cared and done my part to have clean air.
Wow. And so I want you to tell the little story of how it really came home with your grandchildren.
My grandchildren are my heart, as all of our children and grandchildren are our heart. And my daughter, in raising her children, by the time they were 3 years old, they knew how to look at packages and paper and know if it could go in a recycle unit or if it were to be thrown away. And so many times they were my voice. Gammy, you can't throw that away. And I was like, oh my goodness, this really does matter. And so you're listening to the conversation that's happening in the big picture, the big world, and then you're understanding where you live and where you reside on a daily basis, how it affects your life, and what you can do to create change. We always created our playtime around collecting baskets of whatever was in nature, and we called it making something out of nothing. It's whatever nature provided us for that day. And we've had the most amazing playtime of just being together. They make me the most beautiful vegetables out of leaves and flowers out of my garden, and they serve me, and they make up beautiful stories about food and bring me these beautiful vegetable sandwiches wrapped in leaves, and I act like it's the best part of my day. And it truly is a wonderful part of my day to see them experience nature, use their amazing creative minds. And we've not bought plastic toys that end up in the waste field that do not create creativity in our children's lives. So they will remember me for playtime that included all of nature.
Well, I know they will treasure all of those things. feel like you are, a piece of God on the planet who's holding the planet in your hands and saying, look, we've got to make a difference here, because if we don't, there is no planet B, as you said. This is all we've got, and we've got our children and our grandchildren and generations to look out for, and it's up to us. Let me go back to business for just a minute, and because I know what you've done from the top and from the bottom, and let's talk about how small business can get pulled into this, and how one of your clients you had heard speak at a WeBank conference, and the conversation that you had with her, and how that trickled down into meaning significant more new business for her because you were willing to educate her on the fly.
Okay. First, let me explain again what I've been able to do is I've leveraged what large corporations are doing. I break all of that big conversation down into smaller opportunities for small and medium companies. That's one of the services that we offer. We do training, e-learning, whatever it takes to make sure that that communication is passed along to small and medium businesses. The second thing that Shelley is alluding to is when small and medium businesses actually are being told by large corporations, which is very much a trend that we are seeing right now, that they will be deselected. Listen to what I'm saying, deselected, if they do not comply and start reporting and measuring the things that are important to the larger corporations.
So they could lose a large piece of business simply by not reporting the savings that they're doing.
That is correct. That is correct. So we call it the hair on fire, because when you're losing the opportunity that you've had with a large corporation, they're so very difficult to start working with to begin with, and then they come and share with you, you've not made these goals important, and because of that, we're going to deselect you. That is huge to a small business owner. So what we've been able to do is calm them down and share with them that we can get them to a better place as it relates to their reporting. But because of that trust and that path that we're leading them on in reference to reporting their carbon emissions is usually what the large corporations insist upon, we've been able to work with small businesses, and we start sharing with them that they've got a wonderful story to tell as it relates to sustainability. Most of these businesses are doing great things with their employees. They're doing great things within the community. And so we start compiling that story into their own corporate social responsibility story, allowing them the opportunity to put that on their website. So it's creating that value externally for the large corporations, but starting to bring that internally so that as your employees experience that value and get excited about what you're doing around not wasting and measuring so that we've got cleaner air for everyone, and that we're not wasting water, and that we're looking for opportunities to recycle. And this creates the buzz internally for the employees to start getting excited. Plus, many of the older generation employees have grandchildren, just like the story that I've shared with you, that are pushing because of things that they've heard in school. They're pushing to moms and dads. They're teaching this older generation that we've been entirely too consumer-oriented, materialistic, and that we can look at our environment in a completely different way.
Preach, girl, preach.
I'm doing it.
So we need to tell them the company name, CRG Sustainable Solutions with an S on the end, and you can find Mary at crgsustainablesolutions.com or Singer at crgsustainablesolutions.com. And check out the website. That's one of the things that Mary and I got together on as we developed the website for her, and it's really been fun to watch her grow. That's why I've learned so much. She's inspired me so much. And it looks like Sherry's trying to tell me there's a question.
We actually have a virtual audience that's participating. Justin Cam followed us on Twitter. Y Woods Harris is watching us on live streaming. Winks followed us on Twitter. And someone is checking Sarah out today.
That was an earlier interview, in case you missed it. Sarah with an H, Henley, was on earlier, so check out her interview. Do you have any last thoughts that you want to share as we wrap up this interview segment, Mary? I'm so proud of you. You know that. I'm
Thank
so
you so very
excited about
much.
what you're doing.
Thank you for letting me share a message that I'm very passionate about. And I just wanted to leave you with one thing that I heard this week. It's from Larry. He manages zero waste opportunities in the state of Oregon. And I may not get it exactly right, but what he was saying was, we spend so much time and money and effort in taking care of our children so that they can be a great part of the future. But what we're not doing is taking care of this world and the future that it's going to present to them as it relates to our children. And so it's a call out for all of us to really look at how we're using water, what we're throwing away, how we recycle things and reuse things, how many trips we take that create all of the carbon emissions in our beautiful, precious air that belongs to all of us. It's a circle, and I pray that that circle will not be broken by us being wasteful.
Yeah.
Well said, Mary. So check her out, crgsustainablesolutions.com. I know that they are we need to tell them that you are going to be speaking at Click and Connect, live and virtually, and that will be on Thursday, May 16th. And we don't know what segment, so just show up for 9 to 11, right?
That's right, Central Standard Time.
Central Standard Time. So we are very excited about hearing more. Thank you for educating us. Thank you for inspiring us. And thank you for calling us to action. You totally rock.
Thank you very much.
Save the
Thank you
planet.
all.